So in the previous vlog, we talked about if you're brand new to the game, you've never played 40k at all. Now I want to talk about that if you're new, but you're relatively new. You've got some games under your belt. You've got the Dark Vengeance set. You put the models together. You've played some games. Maybe you've played with some models of some of the other armies with, one or two of your buddies. Great. Now it's, you've made the decision, okay, I want to play this army. Insert whatever army you desire. There's 2 books you need to have to be able to play 40k well. Not going to say great, not going to say poorly, but these are at least 2 books you need to have. One, the rulebook, and if you've got Dark Vengeance, you've already got the mini rulebook. Maybe you're somebody like me that when 7th edition came out, you pre-ordered the big 3-book pack that had the rulebook and some fluff and pictures and stuff. I got it for a good deal, so I'm not going to complain about that. But the other important book that you will need is quite simply the Codex. Whatever army you choose, you need to have the Codex. Because in order to run an army well, you kind of need to know point values. Like for Space Marines, regular attack squad, 5-man attack squad is 70 points. And then you add, you start putting upgrades, you add models to the squad. It can really throw your points off. And when you start playing games that are 500 points, 1,000 points, 1,500, 1,750, 1,850, 2,000 points, what you use in your army is critical. So what upgrade you give to your army is critical. Now that being said, and I'll just put a disclaimer right now, for various examples, I'm going to use Space Marines because that's what I know. That's the Codex I have, at least for now. But sometimes, and the Codex can also be a big help when it comes to figuring out what weapons does, because you open up the back of the book and you have that big sheet that has a list of what does the last cannon do, what's its strength, what's its AP value, does it have any special rules, like a thunderhammer can cause concussive, it's unwieldy. All that information is key to be able to know how to set up a unit, how to build up your army, and kind of look at what options you have to use against whatever army you're playing with, or playing against. And that's, again, I'm not going to say it's critical. You can really do whatever you want to a certain point. Now, since we're on the topic of codexes, if you're starting a brand new army, if you're starting Blood Angels, great time to get the codex. You have an awesome codex, from what I hear. If you play Space Wolves, you've got an awesome codex right now. If you play Necrons, you've got a ridiculously awesome codex right now. And I'm actually starting up a Necron army, and I'm hopefully going to get my codex tomorrow. So I'm excited about that, because I've heard nothing but good things about the Necron codex right now. If you play Chaos, if you're a follower of Khorne, I've heard people say the Khorne Demonkin Codex is actually not bad. I've played against the Harlequin Codex. If you want to play Harlequins, that's not a bad codex right now. Now, if you are somebody like wanting to play Space Marines or Dark Angels, Eldar, now don't they're not bad codexes, but they're really lacking at the moment. And I kind of will get into that in the next video. But the codex is vital right now. Because the way Games Workshop is kind of... I don't want to really use the word overhauling, but they're reformatting 40K as we know it. And I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad. Just saying it's what they're doing. And I'm noticing a pattern with it. I've seen it really since 7th edition came out. And I got started about halfway through 6th edition. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this new format stands up against the old format, and how when the old formats get updated, are we going to still see even balanced army? And that's really what Game Workshop is doing, is they're trying to keep everybody on an even playing field so that, you know, Space Marines, Dark Angels, Imperial Guard aren't like completely pathetic and worthless and you should never play this army, while Tau, Blood Angels, Necrons are, oh, we are the super army, we are the army to beat. There's no way anyone can beat us. Okay. Let's see how, that can see. But the other big key about the codexes is, and I'm going to use, like, as I said, Space Marines I'm going to use. Right now there are like 4 or 5 different codexes for Space Marines. You have the regular Space Marines that I play out of. Then you have some chapter specifics with Grey Knights, Blood Angels, Space Wolves, Dark Angels. And there are some differences. Space Wolves, they can do things that Blood Angels can't, or that regular Marines can't. Well, regular Marines have options that Dark Angels and Blood Angels don't have. Grey Knights can have a completely different scale than everybody else combined. So they can do things that really nobody else can. And again, this is all okay. Really, the idea behind the codexes is, it says, okay, here's what you can run. If you're having some struggles dealing with this, let's just say a wave servant, or someone that has a high armor value, like AV12, 13, 14, and you go to the codex, okay, what options do I have that can deal with, the problem I'm having with armor, with tanks? And so you look at that, then you kind of look through your collection and realize, I really don't have any of these models. So now it gives you a better idea of, okay, so I need to get this these models, get them put together, painted, based, and then I can take them out to the battlefield where, okay, next time I come up against a Leman Russ, I've got an answer for it. Next time I come up against an Eldar Wave Serpent, I have an answer for it. And that codex really does help out. The other nice thing about the codex is each individual codex kind of gives you a little deeper fluff about whatever army you're using. And for me right now, since I'm using the generic Space Marines, I call them generic because there's not one chapter specific like Blood Angels, Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Grey Knights. Nothing like them. But in that book, I could really take, if I wanted to, I could take models I have not yet painted, put them on the table and say, I'm running Ultramarines, or I'm running Imperial Fists, or I'm running White Scars. I can run really 7 different chapter tactics out of my codex alone. That's a lot. And with this codex, it kind of gives you a little deeper story about each individual chapter. Kind of their history, what happened. If you're a reader of the novels, it gives you some little bit backgrounds into the Horus Heresy. And what happened during that time frame. But the codexes are wonderful things. Now, some people I know have their codexes memorized, or at least have all the important information for what models they have memorized. But, then you have the person that is getting into it, so they're constantly referring to their codex to figure out what they can do, what they should do, or things of that nature. So if you're an experienced player, and you come up against someone who's brand new, just bought a codex, always going back and forth with it, a game that you feel should take maybe 2.5 hours takes 3.5. Don't get upset with that person. They're still new. They're learning. They're trying to understand their codex, trying to understand their army, figure out how things play. And you guys already know that. And new people, you're learning your army. That's fine. Don't feel pressured by somebody, if you're playing somebody that's been playing for 2, 3, 4 plus years or more. Don't let them pressure you. Sometimes, if you're unsure, you can't find it, just ask them. They probably will know the answer off the top of my head. If you're playing, ironically, if you end up playing somebody that's got the same army as you, maybe they can refer you to whatever page it's on in that codex, if they can think of it off the top of their head, or they might even be able to show you out of the codex. So don't undervalue the codex. It's an awesome book. It really helps. Codexes and the main rulebook kind of supplement each other, because the rulebook kind of gives a overall picture of the game mechanics and the rules for various aspects, but yet the codex can give you more fine-tuned rules for whatever that item was, or vehicle or model, because you have a more specific detail. Whereas if you're unsure about something that might be in the codex, you can always refer back to the main rulebook to see if it's listed there, and get your answer that way. So don't undervalue the codex. And don't be afraid to experiment. One of the great things about 40k is, at least for certain factions, like, we'll take the Imperium forces, you can actually ally. So I could really take my Space Marines, my Imperial Fists, and I could ally them with Grey Knights, Blood Angels, Imperial Guard. And I can start buying those models, putting them together, trying to paint them, build that army up. So now, and then look and buy that codex so I understand what that element of my army is. And then before too long, you look at it and be like, oh wow, I've got 5,000 points in Imperial Fists, and I've already built up my ally contingency of, let's say, Dark Angels, and I've already got close to 2,000 points in Dark Angels, so I could run a Dark Angels army by myself, alone. I don't need to take allies with them. And depending on, your opponent, point style, or points you're playing, that's perfectly fine. You can always go back between two armies. I'm actually in the process of working on a second army, and I'm going to have fun going back and forth between the two. In fact, I'm probably just going to, I kid you not, I will have 2 plastic containers with both armies in them, 2 boxes that have my main vehicles for my Space Marines, and everything really my hobby shoebox that has all my paints, brushes, glues, plastic cutters, everything to do the hobby. So if, nobody's there for a game, or I need to take a break, or we'll just say nobody, I get to the game store, there's games being played, but nobody's, I don't have anybody to play. And let's just say, we'll take an example. I have got a, couple Necron kits that hopefully I can pick up tomorrow. So if I don't have anyone to play, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to sit down, and I am going to open up those kits, and I'm going to start putting them together. That way, I can actually start having models ready to actually play a game, or several games, to understand how those units work. And I'm kind of talking to myself here because I've mainly been a Space Marine player, but I'm starting a new army. I'm starting a Necron army. So I've already bought some kits, I've put them together, but I haven't played anything yet because I don't have the codex. And I've already got the codex on order. So once that comes in, I'm going to sit down, work on putting together some kits, and be reading the codex and understanding it. And learning what I can do with these models. What I can do with these units, with these squads, what they're good for, strengths, weaknesses. And that comes in real handy in your games. Next vlog, I'm going to talk about some things from, codexes and stuff. Keep going with this theme a little bit. But I'm going to start getting some videos out to cater more towards those that actually have some experience. Make you think a little bit, I hope. But new guys, don't worry. You're new, you're buying your models, you're painting them up, you're getting them on the table. Have fun with them. Learn with them. And just don't worry about anything else. Just your big thing right now is worrying about learning your army and having fun.